Ted Geisel, do you know that name? If not, then you're really not to blame. You may know him as Dr. Seuss. You asked me to say a few words at your soiree and guaranteed me a little leeway. So I'll repay you by trying not to be long-winded or abstruse. Well, my dad always said it's pronounced Seuss, and since he knew German, I figured he was precise. And since Seuss could be insightful while still concise, I wondered, what would he have said if you'd asked him for some advice? Lesson plans, unit plans, sample tests and presentations, some of it done willingly and some completed amidst strenuous protestations. The terms rushed by, each filled top high, with too many tasks, a blur at all they'd seen. Nothing you couldn't handle. But did there have to be so bloody much, you sometimes screamed? And now it ends, and you must contend with that awkward sense of not knowing quite what to do. What's left now exists on well-shortened lists. Thank God you're almost finally through. Certification, the next vexation. The paper chase through puzzles of the bureaucracy complex. What works fine over here ain't no good over there. So you need notarized documents in triplex. All the while wondering why the heck your transcript and degrees aren't good enough. Who did this? Seriously. Why is it totally, so utterly shagged up? And now, after getting to know one another, gelled as a group, and making friends you know you'll dearly miss, you look out at an educational landscape that seems more like the edge of the abyss. Some of you have jobs already and are now making plans to relocate yourselves far away from here. To you I say, well done. It's an amazing world, and I know you'll have an awesome first school year. Many of you, though, still lack the direction that only comes from having secured a paying job. Perhaps the lilt of a touch of guilt, and thinking your peers much think you a bunch of knobs. To you I say, take heart, soldier on. To continue applying for jobs everywhere is a thing on which I must insist. So don't back down. There are jobs around, and they'll go to those of you who forge ahead. Persist. Now, as you move ahead with life, I'm sure you're facing many, many doubts about yourselves. Am I good enough? Or is it too tough on this particular route? Perhaps it's the sense of the great unknown that has you spooked and scared, feeling in your heart an imposter playing a part for which you are unprepared. But it's really okay if you feel that way. Confidence is a thing much overrated. Better listening, introspection, and the desire to improve are strong with those who are understated. One thing we know, the best work does flow from those who acknowledge a healthy degree of stress, and not from those overconfident douchebags who put us all behind in their desire to impress. These doubts you feel will bump your zeal and cause you to improve, and after a few years of trial and error, you'll surely find your groove. So until you're ensconced, the smartest response to that constant state of trepidation is planning, hard work, reflective practice. There's no substitute for ongoing preparation. That being said, as you forge ahead, sometimes you'll discover the scattered useful shortcut. I caution you though, instincts can give you a throw, so be careful when following your gut. Too often it happens, with not enough time to plan out the lessons ahead, we take the easy way, search our own yesterday, and that's how we're often misled. Going with the gut and trusting to memories of experiences recalled results in boring, teacher-centered classes that should leave you nothing but appalled. It's the result of an error, the truth of which I want to help you glean. Simply put, your memory is not an accurate record of the things you've done and seen. I'm reminded time and again of studies done on people who've returned from times of war. The stories they tell at first dwell on the horrors, the things they've seen and done that rock them to the core. Over time, the stories change and rearrange to become more centered on ideas of valor, bravery, and of sacrifice, except for the unfortunate few whose stories stay true. They continue paying the emotional price. And so, it seems a healthy thing, allowing ourselves to rewrite the narrative of our lives. Memories change as we interpret life and live with our strife. They should not be seen as accurate archives. So when we try and apply the recollections of how we imagine our own time in school to be, we commit a fundamental error of thought I think we should refer to as type 3. Types 1 and 2 I will leave in the queue of the things you'll learn in grad school, but let's define type 3. It's when you transplant your adult mind into your child's body. Bad things happen, trust me. For what you recall is likely not at all what actually occurred before your eyes, but a fictionalized account with details unintentionally blurred. So when you base it all on what you recall, thinking it all once worked so well, it'll come to pass that soon your class will feel like it's all gone to hell. When it happens, geez, don't be displeased, thinking your students lazy or lacking in respect. Just know it's true. They are a mirror of you. And so what happened was a thing you should expect. So what should you do if indeed it is true that instincts and memory often mislead? You'll really be burned if you apply what you've learned. Plans and strategies will help you succeed. As your program played out, you learned all about how you yourself should comport. And you'll surely gain ground, since your colleagues abound, and they'll gladly offer help and support. Most importantly, though, always realize it's never really about you. So never ever focus on your own actions. It's really only about what your students do. Instead of telling and showing off using your class as your own stage platform, keep it about the students' actions, not yours. After all, it is they who must perform. One last thing. Leaving your ego at the classroom door is the thing I'd recommend. The message your students sometimes send may not be the one that they intend. The grace you show at those times will leave you unsurpassed. But my few minutes now have passed. Your next few years will fly by as fast. And I really hope you all have a blast. And I wish you all the very best.